What's up, everybody? Welcome to podcast now. I'm Alex, and in this video, we got to talk about a couple different gaming journalist things, or gaming, I guess, stories in general. I do love to talk about this stuff. I really, really do. I want to make it clear where I stand. I want to invite discussion, right? This is not to upset people. This is not to set people off. This is to literally talk to each other, which is something that gaming journalists flat out cannot do. So there was a couple things that did set me off on this on Friday. This actually happened on Friday. It was a former GameSpot journalist. Now, GameSpot is kind of known for being pretty bad. I mean, do they do some good stuff? Yes. And like I say, for all of this stuff, and you always have new people, which I appreciate, but I do want to make it known. When I think of gaming journalists and how horrible they are, I think of like the 95%. There are definitely good ones. I know good ones. There's some that follow me. There's some that I've talked to. I know there's good people out there. Okay, I'm not saying the world is entirely awful, but I would say in the gaming journalist sphere, there's a lot of horrible ones. Some of the good ones have just been kicked straight out of the industry because they don't kind of agree with the hive mind mentality. So I do, when I talk about, they, them, I am kind of talking about overwhelming majority of them, but not literally every single one, okay? But GameSpot is normally pretty bad, and this guy, look, I wish him the best. He's leaving his job. That's what you should probably know. He's leaving his job at GameSpot, but he's also leaving his job in the gaming industry. Okay, fine. I wish him the best. I hope he makes lots of money. I hope he enjoys his life, all of that stuff. With that being said, though, he left with kind of a parting gift. Actually, a two-part parting gift that I didn't know about the second part until after, okay? He did a long thread of tweets, around 7 or 8 tweets in all, okay? And most of them literally was just bashing people, saying toxic fandoms. You'll never understand how hard it is to work in the gaming industry. This is why it's awful. This is why it's bad. You work with a lot of bad people. His boss is nice, but like besides that, most of the people, there's some bad eggs out there. And again, kind of going after fans. Like the algorithm changes and these companies kind of expect these guys to follow the algorithm throughout time. A lot of whining and complaining. And this really upset me. I actually upset some blue check mark out there who works in some other, I think she's a journalist in general, but I don't know specifically about gaming. She got like 27,000 followers. She replied, which by the way, I should make this very apparent. Do not reach out to these people. Do not harass them. Do not threaten them. Do not attack them. We can laugh at them, but, taking that next step is obviously too far. There, I said it. Nobody can say I didn't say it, right? And I don't do this, by the way. I've never asked people. I've never done it myself. But I have a problem with it. And I have a problem, honestly, in like the sense of being good. And I know that sounds so stupid or so cliche, but in reality, especially stuff that's happened to me over the last like week or so, like there is a newfound sense to me of like being a good person and treating others with respect, which we're going to get to on kind of the second part of this video. Hope it may be a long one. Here's the thing. Bad stuff happens, okay? And I don't want bad stuff to happen. I think people oftentimes look to channels that talk about controversial things or talk kind of against the grain, and they'll label them as this or that. And you can have whatever opinion on these channels that you want. I don't care. But I think some of them, you have to understand, literally are just they're trying to implement what these people, these journalists want, but like actually doing it. Because this guy spends his entire thread, most of it, literally like every tweet but the last 2, was bashing people, bashing employers, bashing his fellow workers, bashing us, mainly bashing us, right? And as I always say, gaming journalists hate themselves, they hate their jobs, they hate games, and they hate us, okay? That's like the 4 pillars of gaming journalists. And again, sounds weird, sounds maybe stupid. Look around and you'll see it, as long as you kind of look for it, right? So the last 2 were like thanking people. And I just have a problem with that. It's like, if there's a problem in your job, in your position, and you take this kind of revolutionary mindset or a person who wants change, you know what I mean? If you are a person that kind of complains to yourself all the time, but you also complain to yourself about your work issues, like at least you're matching what you've been doing. You know what I mean? Like you're not being hypocritical because you're kind of doing the same thing. I mean, maybe you are to some people, but you're being the same kind of throughout. Do you know what I mean? But people like this are the people that I dislike the most in this world, because these, guarantee it, are people that preach just all of this inclusion, all of this freedom and equality. Oh my God, equality is their favorite word, right? And here, like, that sounds like I'm picking on them. It sounds like I don't want equality. And that's what people sometimes, label people like me, people like other, YouTube channels that cover this, when in reality, I do want that. It's just the way that they say it, they're the hypocrites. Because this guy will sit in his day job with people around him that he doesn't like or he doesn't get along with, or maybe they actually do bad stuff to him, okay? Maybe they do. Maybe they treat people the wrong way. But he keeps his mouth shut, and he just works at his job. Meanwhile, he's preaching on Twitter. He's preaching on, wherever else he is, right? He's preaching out there all of this stuff, equality, treating others the way you want to be treated, stuff like that. But he lets it go in his own life. And only will he address it when he leaves. See, I have a big, maybe it's just what's happened to me over the last little while, but I have a huge problem with it. Man up. And that's not like a sexist thing. Be the better person, have the proof. And I always say that, you know what I mean? Like, if there's really things happening in your industry and you believe it, Hollywood, gaming journalists, if you believe it and you know it's happening, chances are there's evidence. Chances are there's people that will back you up in these stories. But what tends to happen is none of that happens. Sometimes they make it up, sometimes they don't, but they keep it hidden forever, and then they come out with it in just the worst timings possible, and they don't really make that big of an impact, and it's more like just believe me because I'm the victim. The whole victimhood mentality. There are victims, and you should believe like actual victims. That had stuff done to them, but it's tough because we're in a society of everybody's a victim, and people, again, like if you have, I am getting sidetracked, you know what I mean? But it upsets me so much that this guy just goes. I mean, he proves my point. He goes after the fans. He goes after his fellow, journalist brethren, right? But he doesn't speak up when he's there. And then, the girl who kind of got offended by this, she responded and said, like, well, people speak up all the time. Do they really, though? Because, do things actually get done? Again, if things are actually happening and everybody sees it, and they're all keyboard warriors, they're all on Twitter, they all have the blue check marks, if they're really practicing what they're preaching, which I do suggest you do in life, that's something that, unless you're doing bad stuff, then what's the issue? Gather everybody up, form your evidence, and get stuff done. Get stuff done. Stop going on Twitter to complain about it. It's more of like a societal thing, more maybe than a gaming journalist thing, but this is what happens. On top of that, I believe the same day, he wrote the Dune review for GameSpot, and he called it like the white savior trope, which was hilarious. Many, many people came at him, basically because literally the protagonist of Dune is a white male, which we know they're evil. We know, society doesn't like them anymore, and he literally proved that point by saying that's an issue. I guess he wanted some other race or some other gender to be the hero, even though you have your chances. Everybody gets chances in different movies to play the hero. I just watched Don't Breathe 2 last night, in which the little girl, adolescent girl, she was basically the hero. You all get chances. You just have to know where to look. But anyway, he did that. He then proceeded to block pretty much anybody that came at him with a difference of opinions, calling them whiny babies and stuff like that. So it's hilarious, and that kind of proves, just a separate point entirely, that these people that call people toxic, that's an important thing, right? Because you hear like toxic fans or toxic people in general, and there are some. But the issue is, again, such a watered down, such a weak mental society that we live in right now, that these people will classify you as toxic for simply disagreeing. That's something I've preached very, very heavily on this channel, that we can have. I could show you one day, maybe I will, my block list. It's very little compared to the size of the channel, and I assume compared to other channels of my size and much bigger than my size, it is just a fraction of because I don't like blocking people, because the only way I block people is that people like attack me or like threaten me or say really mean things about me or like my family, like there's lines you draw, right? But for the most part, I don't do it. These people, simply if you disagree with what he says white people bad, and people are like, I don't know if that's like a good thing to say out loud. And he says, oh my God, knew it. I knew who you were. I'm blocking you right now. If you then call them toxic because of that, you're the idiot. And I've been saying that for many, many years, and this guy literally proves the point. And it's just funny that this is the guy retweeted the thread, and I didn't know he did the Dune, like this was happening kind of at the same time. I didn't know he did the Dune review, so it's kind of funny that happened all in one go. And it was the exact same person that kind of did it. So that was very funny. The other thing, which again, I think all this stuff kind of connects, is the president of, I think, Tripwire, right, is the company. Don't quote me on any like specific wordings or stuff, but there was that gaming studio president on Sunday who tweeted out his support of the Supreme Court's decision for certain stuff with babies, which, listen to me, I'm not going to go into. I'm not going to tell you my opinions. You can tell me yours if you want in the comments, but we're not arguing it. We're not going to go political in that way. But here's the point. Obviously, Texas did the thing, and the Supreme Court backed it, and he backed them. He backed that decision. So, no matter where you stand, and yes, this is a more controversial. We're not talking about is X game good or is Y movie enjoyable. We are talking about something a little bit, I guess more real, more kind of in your face. I get it. At the same time, we're all people. We all have thoughts. We all have opinions. And just having a difference of opinion does not make you a bad person, does not make you evil. Again, I get we're talking about life and baby. Like, I get it. It gets a little bit more real there. But there's still a sense of, and I don't think people understand this or really get this as well. And maybe, I didn't for a long time either. There is a sense of humanity. Like, we're all in this together. And I think you need to have some sort of baseline where you can talk to people. Even if you disagree on the biggest issues in life, you got to be able to talk to people. If you can't talk to people, then there's no point. The point is this. He tweeted out this stuff in support of it, which is fine. It's like, you may not agree. It may be a very controversial, non-agreeing thing, but he said it, and it's his right. It's his right to say it, and it's fine. What's the thing? Cancel culture is like that's how I call it. I think that's very much the term. They'll say, no, it's the consequence culture. Your choices have consequence. That's what it is. Going after people, attacking people like Troy Leavitt of Hogwarts Legacy, that is literally attacking. That's trying to cancel them. It's trying to lose their job. It's trying to hurt them in literally some way. That's different than having consequence. These idiots. I'll never agree. That stuff, by the way, I can handle having disagreements. That kind of stuff just get lost with because it's hilarious. But this guy is getting attacked. He is. And the thing that really stood out to me right away, I saw his tweet and I thought, whether or not I agree or not, right? You're just going to get destroyed right now, starting right now, because you're in the gaming industry, and that's like one of the worst industries to have that opinion, in. And one of the first tweets I saw, I'm not going to say the guy, but he's a guy that I don't really like all that much, and it was a gaming journalist insider who literally said, right after he saw that tweet, if any employees have things they want to say about this guy, DM him. Email him, send him the stuff because he's going to start working on stuff. So let me get this straight. This is the disgustingness of life, Twitter, these idiots. So he says something that you don't agree with. Yes, it's controversial, but you don't agree with it. It's his right to do it. So, and I guess you could argue saying, well, it's their right to write an article. It is. You're right. It's their right to write an article. But he says something you don't agree with. You don't know the guy. You don't. You never talked to him. Maybe he's the greatest guy you've ever met. Super nice, caring, emotional, but you don't know him. So the first thing you think of is, I'm going to ask anybody who works for him or has worked for him, and I want as much dirt as humanly possible on this guy because I'm going to ruin his life. That's what happened. Now, you can say that's not literally what happened. Alex, you're stretching it. Again, get lost. Get lost. Because if you really look, we've seen this before with Scott. I don't remember his last name. The guy, Five Nights at Freddy's creator. We've seen it there. Controversial, donor decisions leads to him getting. He has to remove because people are attacking his pregnant wife. This is what happens. Troy Leavitt has a YouTube channel that has opinions people don't agree with. Cancel Hogwarts. Fire him. How can you? I don't get. It makes me sad that people do stuff like this. So. And again, like, this is a guy, by the way, this industry guy, I've never liked him at all. He's good at his job. He knows inside information, but he's a horrible human being. And honestly, a lot of the people are. A lot of the insiders really are just bad people. I'll say that. I have no problem with. I don't want to be a part of this world. There are people I really, I've talked about, like Colin Moriarty. I love the guy. He seems like an amazing guy. Is he controversial? Sure. Does he have opinions not everybody agrees with? Sure. Does he deserve to be exiled from the gaming industry for them? No. What happened to just not? You can disagree and it can be fine. You can still work next to each other. What happened to that? Really? What happened? Obviously, you can't do that anymore, right? So it's just funny. You have this guy. You knew he was going to get lit up immediately, but it's just funny that you see the engines of the gaming industry or the gaming media, right? The journalists. You can see the engines turning where it's like, oh, he said, and he didn't do anything. He didn't go out there and commit a crime or break into somebody's house and do certain, like, he didn't do these things. He said he supported the decision of the courts. That's what he said. And so, yes, you may not agree, and guess what? You can say that, but your first thing that you do is you ask people to, like, who has stuff on this guy so we can ruin his life. Because this guy's a president of a gaming company, and that's despicable, that's deplorable. We literally cannot have that happen. You know what I mean? That's like the worst thing. I mean, you can't even have these people working. And now what we need, and this has already happened, right? The team behind Chivalry 2, right? They're developers. And so this guy is the president of a publisher. The developers of Chivalry, the Torn Banner Studios, I think, they issued a statement saying everybody in that studio disagrees with what he said. We're not affiliated with him, stuff like that. See, again, like, these are things you just don't need to say. Who cares what you guys think? Again, they think that people care because they make Chivalry. Do you think we care about your connections to this one guy? And oh, let me, I'm going to assume, even though I shouldn't, I'm going to assume you asked every single, again, not to like say you need to agree with the Supreme Court or whatever. I'm not saying that. But I'm sure these guys asked every single employee that they had. I mean, this Chivalry 2 team, they did a poll the next day, and they said, hey, out of the 150 people say that work here, you all don't agree with him, right? Right? Steve in the back, you don't agree? Okay, good. So we're going to issue a statement. We're going to speak for all of you, and we're going to say we don't agree. That did not happen. Now, again, am I saying like it's right to stand by it? It's up to you. But like I guarantee you, there may be people in that studio that do agree with this president, that do agree with the hearing or the court or whatever, right? I assume there would be some people, but they have to keep their mouths shut, because the point is, although it's controversial, yes, either side. I would even argue either side. You're not like completely in the right either way, all right? You really aren't. Yeah, I mean, you may think you are, but like but they're like, you're speaking for them. And if you think the opposite of the hive mind, which is in the gaming media, but also the gaming developers, if you think differently, you're either not working or your mouth is just sealed tight, shut, because you cannot talk or you'll be kicked out. So it's disgusting. They're going to ruin his life. I guarantee. Now, you guys may see this like Tuesday. I assume he'll be fired or like he'll step down or something. I really do. And that sucks because, again, you may not like the guy, you may not agree with the guy, but by doing this shows that these people have power, that the people that do attack the mob on Twitter, they do have power, saying, oh, so what do you, and I saw that, when the Torn Banner Studios did like I guess notice out there, you saw people say, okay, cool, words or something, but what are you going to do about it? You ever going to have a game come out, you ever going to publish a game through them again? It's like, so you want the guy to lose all his money. You probably want him kicked out of his house. If he has a wife and kid, something bad's going to happen to them. You want him dead. You want him gone. That's literally what these people do. And, it's funny. And they'll say, no, that's not the case or whatever. Or if it happens to them, they'll scream, the freedoms that they have as an individual to say these rights. They'll do all that stuff. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't. These kind of things, guys, listen. Cancel culture, it comes for everybody. And you already see people that are part of the mob, part of the cancel culture, that go after people. They can be turned on, like people will turn on them if you don't think, if you have these groups, and if you're in this group of this cancel culture, right, eventually even that group gets distorted. And then if you're not in the right group within that group, you're kicked out as well. It's crazy. It's crazy. I love making these videos, but at the same time, I hate it because, I mean, these are just some of the most brain dead, stupid, like, I don't even know. And these videos always get me in trouble. So here's what I'm going to ask. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Try to support me. I don't like to, like, demand your support, but these videos are obviously a lot more risky to make. So if you guys do want to, follow us on Twitter, that's something that helps me mentally. I like seeing numbers. Subscribe to my second channel. If you guys want to support us financially, we have Patreon. We have YouTube memberships if you guys want to, support us there. Leaving a like on this video, all that stuff helps. I really do appreciate it. If you don't agree with me, that's totally cool. I have no problems with that. I just want us to be civil. That's it. Just don't want to have a conversation. Don't want anybody attacking. But that's what these people are all about. You know what I mean? So thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope to see you all on the next video.